Hey guys, welcome to question MM220 of the Maths Methods Fortify study guide. So, in this question, we've got the graph of f of x equals x squared, which is this parabola here, the tangent to f of x at x equals 2, which is this tangent here, x equals 2, and the tangent to f of x at x equals a, which is this tangent here, t2. Now, part A tells us, asks us, given the lines t1 and t2 are perpendicular to each other, find the value of a. So we're going to need to find this x value here where this tangent passes through. So if this tangent and this tangent are perpendicular, like the question tells us, they have their gradients are negative reciprocals of each other. Okay, so what that means is if we can find the gradient at x equals 2, then get the negative reciprocal of that, that's the gradient of this tangent, then we can find the x value based on that. So let's go through that. So we know that the function is f of x equals x squared. And we need to find the gradient of this tangent at x equals 2. So prior to doing that, we're going to need to find our gradient function. Derivative of x squared is simply 2x. And then at x equals 2, our gradient is going to be 2 times 2, which is equal to 4. Cool. So this tells us that our gradient of t1 is equal to 4, right? If t2 is perpendicular to this, then it's the negative reciprocal of 4, right? So m1 times, or actually, you know what, let's do, m2. So the gradient of t2 is equal to negative 1 over the gradient of 1. So negative 1 over 4. Awesome. Now, so from here, we know that the gradient function is 2x. We know that our gradient is negative 1 on 4, so all we simply need to do is sub in this gradient into this gradient function, and that'll tell us our x value, or in this case, our a value. So that means that negative 1 on 4, so our gradient here is equal to our gradient function, equals 2x. Therefore, x is equal to negative 1 on 8, so a is equal to negative 1 on 8. And we need to make sure that we actually say that, because our question is asking us to find the value of a, not the value of x. So they're the same thing, but we just need to state that a is equal to negative 1 on 8. So our first mark comes here, recognizing that the gradient of our t2 is equal to negative 1 on 4. And then our second mark comes when we actually answer the question and say that a is equal to negative 1 on 8. So guys, that's part A. Let's move on to part B. Now part B actually asks us to find the point of intersection, the coordinates of this point of intersection, P. So if we're going to need to find the point of intersection between two graphs, between two lines, what we're actually going to need to do first is find the equations of those lines so that we can actually equate it. So first things first is to actually find these equations. So let's start with T1. So we know that the equation of a line is given to us by y take y1 equals m outside of x take x1. We know what our m value is. We found that before. That's 4. So m equals 4. And t2, m equals negative 1 on 4. Awesome. So we actually just need a coordinate now to plug into x1 and y1. So we know that our x value is 2, but we need to find our y value based on that. So we know that our equation is y equals x squared, which means this point is y equals 2 squared, which equals 4. Right, so our y value is 4. So y take 4 equals m is 4 in this case, x minus 2. 2 is our x value. From here, we simply just kind of expand this out. So 4x take 8 and then plus 4 on this side. We get y equals 4x minus 4. Awesome, so that's our equation for T1. Same again for T2. Y minus y1 equals m outside of x take x1. We know that our x value here is negative 1 on 8, because that's what we found before. So x equals negative 1 on 8, which means our y value is going to be this squared, because it's a parabola, x squared. Our m value is negative 1 on 4, outside of x, minus negative 1 on 8. Awesome. Now, from here, we're going to end up getting y take away 1 on 64 equals negative 1 on 4x, and then this is plus 1 on 8. So plus 1 on 8 times negative 1 on 4 is negative 1 on 32. Awesome. Now simplifying this, we get y equals negative 1 on 4x minus 1 on 64. Awesome. So this is our equation for T2. Sweet. So this is where our first mark comes in, guys. So this is actually 3 marks. Our part B. Part B, 3 marks. So this is where our first mark comes in after getting the equations for both of these. So I'm actually just going to rewrite these over here just so we have them. So y equals 4x take 4. So that's T1. Y equals negative 1 on 4x minus 1 on 64. That's T2. Sweet. So now that we have these equations, we can actually equate them, right? Because we want to find the point of intersection between these two functions. So all we do is we let 4x take 4 equal negative 1 on 4x take 1 on 64. So 4x take 4 equals negative 1 on 4x minus 1 on 64. From there we get, just rearranging all this, I'm not going to go into too much detail here because you'll be able to figure it out. 17x on 4 equals 255 on 64. So we just get that by moving all this stuff around. What we then get is x equals 255 on 64 divided by 17 on 4. So we're just taking that 17 on 4, dividing it across. From there we can, and because we don't have a calculator, we kind of need to do this way. If you did have a calculator, you'd obviously just put it in. This 4 and this 64 can cancel, that becomes a 1, this becomes a 16. So we get 255 over 16 times 17, right? 16 times 17 is 272. So 255 on 272, which means that x is equal to 15 on 16. Awesome. So this is our second mark, guys. This has told us the x value of this point of intersection, right? Because we've equated them, we've found an x value, and that's told us that there. But we're not done yet, because we need to find the whole point of intersection, so the x and y values, right? So from here, we can simply just sub in this x value into one of these equations. I'm going to sub it into 4x take 4 because I think that's easier. So y is equal to 4x take 4. We know that our x value is 15 on 16. So 4 times 15 on 16 minus 4, y equals that. And then we get 15 on 4 minus 4, which gives us negative 1 on 4. Awesome. Which means that P is equal to 15 on 16, negative 1 on 4. And that's our third mark. This is our final answer. We've answered the question. It's asking us for the coordinates of P. We've given that, and that's our final answer, 15 on 16, negative 1 on 4. If you have any questions about this, guys, please hit me up in the comments below. But otherwise, see you in the next video.